Coffee with the Mighty Miracleman time. Today I have a special guest. Would you introduce yourself and tell us
Absolutely.
all a bit about what you do?
Yeah, my name is Sean Sullivan. I'm the host of Sullivan's Unheard Voices. It's a podcast based out of the Portland, Salem area. I got tired of all of the negativity and all of the conversations uh, about life in the media. So I started a podcast to have real conversations about what it's really like to live in this country. And I talked to a lot of people who are like musicians who haven't like been successful yet, but I think they're on their way. And then I also talk a lot about disability rights and advocacy and why it's so important for like community involvement because like so many of us with disabilities need a community to thrive. And
Exactly.
without a sense of community, it can be challenging. And so I just wanted to have a platform where I could have real conversations about what really is going on.
Yes. And if you wouldn't mind, I want to say something about that. Disability, one of the main reasons terms like disability are offensive to us is because disability is a community. We have each other's back. If you label us disability, you take that away and make us like everyone else.
Especially when you use the term disability, the default reaction is less than. And I always say people with disabilities are no less than anyone else. And if you think that, then you're ignorant and you're a jerk.
Exactly. Thank you for that. You have that podcast talking about disability rights and what it's really like to live in America. How did you get started with all that?
Yeah, it started about 20 years ago, actually. It was before I knew I was autistic. And I was working for a company at the time, and my boss, who I still love to this day, asked me what I knew about radio. And I said, I don't know anything about radio. And he said, well, I want to put a radio show together. So you have 2 months. Come back to me with a plan on how to do a radio show. And so within 2 months, I was able to put a radio show together, and it was horrible. I'm sorry to say, it was like the worst possible radio show ever. It was scripted. All of
You'll
the
have to
questions were in
start
advance.
somewhere.
Yeah. And so I vowed if I ever had the chance to do it again, I would do it differently. And so now I started this podcast where I could just have, I don't even know what we're going to talk about until I sit down and talk to people.
That's
And
kind of how this goes.
it's
Like I
awesome that
just
way.
want to get to know you and invite people into the conversation over coffee.
Yep. Uh-huh. And I am also drinking coffee right now. And of course, I don't know if you can see my cup or not, but it says I'm only a morning person for my dog.
That's great.
So how did you get started?
I was in a bad car accident at 18. I was swerved to miss a deer, almost was thrown into a river, but I overcorrected and flipped the car and then slid down the road, flipped again into a mountainside upside down, hanging by the seatbelt with two broken clavicles, six broken ribs, separated sternum, broken shoulder, punctured lung, a broken neck, but get this, I looked fine.
You looked fine?
Yes,
Oh,
I
wow.
was unconscious when they found me 6 hours later. And they had to call Lifeline, extract me with the jaws of life and all that. And ever since then, it's been up and up. Praise God.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, getting into why I started this, I was at that age where I didn't really fit into pediatric PT, but I also didn't fit into geriatric PT. I was unique. A
Yeah.
young man, and I had goals, so I found physical therapists weren't giving me enough credit. They're all like, "Are you tired yet? Come on now." Just a bunch of condescending baloney.
And people treat you differently if you have a disability. Like, I don't think
Yes,
people understand it. Uh, because you feel it, right? When people come at you with an ableist mindset and you experience ableism that first time, it changes your life because you realize it's going to happen again.
what's really sad is when I first experienced that, I thought, oh my goodness, I used to be that way.
I know what you mean though. Like, uh, so there's a Harvard released a series of implicit bias tests, and in college, I took the implicit bias tests regarding people with disabilities, and I didn't realize my own bias towards people with disabilities until I took that test. Because
And
until that moment, I always thought, I did it. Why can't you? Like, I have overcome this. And then I finally realized, oh, you're not me. Everybody else has a unique story. I have no
that's
idea what you've been through. I have no idea what you've
exactly.
experienced along the way. So who am I to say you should have, could have? Because I don't know anything. So like I
You
just
can't
eliminated
help
that from my.
someone if they're not willing to help themselves. Unfortunately, that phrase is kind of ableist, but at the same time, it's a true statement.
Mhm.
It's like it may look different for every individual, but then they can do it their way.
And what suits their needs. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm. So that's kind of why I started the podcast, and it's been amazing ever since. So like cuz I'm autistic and I always really had a hard time going up to strangers and talking to them. Now that I have a podcast and I have an excuse, I can talk to people. But before the podcast, I just didn't have permission. I don't know why, but just having this podcast, and I don't care if 10 people, one person listen, that's not the reason I do it. I do it because I love having these conversations and I wouldn't have these conversations anywhere else.
That's a good point. Part of why I'm doing this podcast. It's just a fun thing. You get to know people. So, but I was curious, where can people go to find you?
So I'm on Spotify and YouTube. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice after last night. Um, Spotify and YouTube are the two main places. Um, yeah.
And I'll put links to those down in the description.
Mhm. I
Thank
appreciate that.
you. Of course.
And you invited me on today to talk about love on the spectrum, right?
No, no, but we can do that. It's just a conversation.
Do you mind if we talk about that?
No,
Because
I
I've been so upset and just been wanting to talk about this with somebody that could possibly understand.
I've been watching that show a lot. It's kind of weird, like why are autistic people viewed differently? Why are people so intrigued with that?
And the way they pick their guests tells a very specific story about autism that just isn't really true. So many times in the last year where I've had conversations where people tell me I don't look autistic because I don't look like the people in that show. And I can't help but think how many people out there on the spectrum that don't look like this small piece that they want you to see.
Yes, and something that people need to know is that autism is a spectrum, a huge spectrum. I mean, even though I have a brain injury, it manifests itself in behaviors that are on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. And people, I would imagine, like when you encounter people, just like I encounter people, people assume a lot just when they hear you speak, right?
Yes,
And they probably make suggestions or make inferences that are just total. Can I swear on this podcast?
yes,
It's total
bullshit.
bullshit. It's bullshit, right?
I
Like, oh,
completely agree.
because it's, and I don't know why people can't stop judgment at the door. Like, I don't understand why so many people lead with judgment instead of curiosity
Yes,
because it just closes your world off to experiencing so many things. And
exactly.
I would argue that every person that I know who is neurodivergent or has a disability has an outlook on life that I appreciate.
It's like when parents hear me talk to their kid because the kid comes up and asks me something. The kid's just curious, but the parents are like, no, 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 don't talk to them. It's like
That's worse.
heartbreaking because it's teaching the kids that disability is different and bad and weird.
Yet, and if we just had the opportunity to actually talk to them about it and let them know that this is, this is me. I'm no different. I'm just a human being. Yes, my speech might be a little different than yours. That's it. Like,
Exactly.
mm, I don't know why it needs to go any further than that. Just like a weird thing that happens uh, for people in wheelchairs that people may not understand. Because I had a friend who was in a wheelchair, and every time we would go to the bank, they would talk to me and not my friend. And I would have to tell them, it's not my bank account. Like, she just has a broken ankle. Like, so to automatically assume that she's in a wheelchair, she can't have her own bank account or she can't know, like, that always really upset me. And it
Yeah,
happened all the time, all the time.
people do that with most disabilities. Like if they talk to the caregiver or friend or whoever's with them, especially in doctor's offices.
Like the patient isn't even there. Like you're here to treat
Exactly.
me and you're talking like I'm not even here.
They're talking like you're just a thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, at what point did they lose their humanity? Because that's just, I'm sorry, when you do that to somebody, you're not being a human, you're being a jerk. And I just, mm-hmm.
It's a common experience in the disability community, unfortunately, but that's part of what binds us together.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like if you've ever experienced in your life somebody who's treated you differently because of whatever you're manifesting, uh, you recognize that you don't want anybody else to feel that way.
Yes,
Like I would love to be in a world where people just didn't have to put up with that stuff. Like I don't know if
and
we'll ever get there, but I would love it.
me too. Uh, like there was one time I was in a restaurant alone, and because of my speech and I know sign, they thought I was deaf, so the waiters turned to each other and started making fun of me. I'm like, excuse me, I can hear you. They turned tail and ran, and I walked out.
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. That's just,
It just is what it is, unfortunately.
hmm and it is what it is, and it still sucks.
Exactly.
hmm Because I don't think people understand how often that shit happens. Like I'm told I don't look autistic like 3 times a month. 3 times a month I have to deal with that. And I always ask the same question back. So what does autism look like to you then?
Yes,
Please help me understand. Because obviously you're thinking I'm either supposed to be like Rain Man or I'm supposed to be non-speaking using a device to help me communicate.
yes.
Like there's no recognition of things in the middle.
It's a whole spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I have many friends in the autism spectrum community, and, and they're great people, just get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you put a label on something, people turn away from it. I feel like,
That's why I hate labels so much. Because like I can't get around the fact that your disability should not have to define you. You should not be defined by whatever disability you have if you have one. And
exactly.
society still places that label on people.
It's
And
like, why can't I just have basic human rights?
that's all they're asking for. Like
Exactly.
I'm not asking for $1 million. I'm not asking for anything. No, I just want to be treated like human everywhere I go. And I don't understand
Exactly.
why that's so hard, right? Because like even now, like I go to this place for karaoke a lot, right? Because I love to sing and I love it
Yes.
there. And it is a haven for people with disabilities at this particular bar, right? We have people that are deaf that come there all the time. We have people that are blind that come there all the time. We have all kinds of people, but there's always one person that is a jerk to everybody there. And you could tell that he's a jerk to people that are different. And it happens all the time.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. Because even when you're in a safe space, you still always have that one person that just has to say something or has to do something, right? Like every time I get up on stage to sing, they has to flip me off.
What? And that's not right. People are stupid.
I would agree with you in this instance, 100%. Yeah.
Yes,
hmm And, you know, it doesn't bother me as much in this instance, too, because I know I'm loved by everybody else there. And we as a collective agree that we're going to support each other and just sort of ignore this one guy. And so, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be kind. I'm going to treat people with dignity and respect. And there's something going on in this guy's life that makes him lash out at other people.
yes.
And I can't do
So
anything about that. So I
I
just let it
think
go.
that's a good point and something you can leave people with. But I want to ask if you could leave the audience with anything, what would that one thing be? Or maybe a couple things.
Yeah. That's easy, actually. Lead with kindness. Like, it takes so much more effort to be mean. It takes so much more effort to be jealous. It takes so much more effort to do things in that way. If you could just lead with kindness and treat people with dignity and respect, you will
Yes.
be amazed at how much dignity and respect will come back at you. And once you make that commitment to treat people kind, your life will change. Your life will change.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Well, it was great talking to you, Sean. We're about at the time here, so I want to say thank you for your time and for sharing with all the guests. Please keep in touch.
Yeah. And
Okay.
my cat wants to say goodbye.
Bye, Cindy.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.